So what did you miss at Jubilee today? Well, you missed the beginning of Advent. You you missed us beginning our season, our year, our service with a call from the prophet Jeremiah to tell us that God comes into our lives, that God becomes part, as is prophesied, that there is comfort and challenge and presence. And we didn't just hear from the prophet, we then heard from the saxophone and the voice and the choir, and it was glorious. It was beautiful. A wonderful way to begin Advent and the service. And then we were invited to wonder. Inspired by godly play, we were invited to wonder about Bethlehem as we approach Bethlehem and as Bethlehem approaches us. We heard about the prophets pointing the way to Bethlehem. We heard the prophets. We sang together and we began to recognize that Bethlehem can live in us, does live in us. And then we celebrated a baptism. A young man, Patrick, and he and I had talked and we shared with the congregation that we were agreeing together to be part of a larger family, larger than his family at home, that we would learn from each other and listen to each other. We would honor our questions and our struggles. We would agree and disagree like a family does. We would protect each other and defend each other and share our values, not just with the family that gathered in Jubilee today, but the family that call themselves Christians all over the world, the family that is all of creation, recognizing all of us as brothers and sisters, all of us connected to the water, the trees, the animals. We all are part of this glorious creation. Today, Patrick was baptized into the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And we agreed that as a family, we look to Jesus when we try to figure out what's right and wrong, when we look for guidance and companionship, when we look to understand God. As Christians, we look to Jesus. His life, death, and resurrection, we look at what he taught us, we look at what he did. We look at the sacrifice and we take that as a guide, willing to pour ourselves out for others, willing to open ourselves to be vulnerable. But we also open ourselves to the resurrection, to the hope, the knowledge that God will always have the last word. That's the baptism that Patrick and Jubilee shared today. His family were participants, and together we felt that presence. And because we're nothing without sacraments, of course, Jubilee also had communion today. And we all came to the table to journey together to Bethlehem, to recognize the Bethlehem within us. We dared to dream that all of creation belongs at that table and that we somehow can do it. Oh yeah, we heard Luke's gospel today. The apocalyptic story, the signs in the heavens, that everything comes to an end and that Jesus comes again in power and glory as if from the sky. We listened to that story and we recognize that Jesus is coming, that God's presence is not one of vindictiveness or revenge or destruction, but the reality that when everything falls apart for us, either personally or in a broader sense in the world, when we make all of the wrong choices, when we have done the unforgivable, when we've taken that step too far and everything is gone, Jesus is present. God arrives. When it all falls apart, there is still God. God always has the last word. And the last word is love. And the last word is embracing. And the last word is hope. The last word is always God. And so we need not fear when things fall apart. And knowing that, we are invited to dream. Dream big. Dream bigger than we've ever dreamt before. In this time of Advent, hearing that story, we are invited to dream of a world without poverty, of a world without violence. Yes, everybody who knows everything will tell us that can't ever happen. It's impossible. People will tell us all the time that there are some things that are unforgivable. Things that others have done, things that we have done. We can never truly be forgiven. That's what the world says. But we heard today that the world will pass away. And when the world passes away, what's left is Jesus. What's left is God, God's love. So we dare to dream big, because if the world says it can't happen, that doesn't matter, it will pass away. God says it can happen. God can forgive us. God can help us see an end to racism, violence, corruption, all of the things that we imagine we can never eliminate. Well, we're invited in Advent to dream big, to be part of that dream and that reality. A world where God not only has the final word, but God's word is all the words. So whether you're with us today, or whether you can be with us next week, or can't be with us at all for a while, please, today, tomorrow, the next day, dare to dream big. And having dared that dream, live into that dream. Because you can. Because you will. And because that's where God is. Anyway, I hope to get to see you soon. Until then, God bless.